Welcome. When you read Genesis, it talks about living souls, the nephesh, in these three big, broad categories: land animals, sea creatures, and birds. But then you get to the book of Job, chapters 38 and 39, and it zooms in on a very specific list of just 10 creatures. And at first glance, they seem totally random. But what we're going to see today is that this isn't random at all. These 10 animals are actually a divine blueprint, providing the exact practical tools needed to launch human civilization. So that leads us to the big questions, right? Why these 10? You've got wild animals, domesticated ones, animals from totally different parts of the world. I mean, what's the connection between a lion and a goat, or a horse and a raven? What's the common thread here? Well, that's the puzzle we're going to solve together. And this verse, right here, sets the stage perfectly. It's basically an invitation. It's telling us to treat this not just as some ancient text, but as a hands-on tutorial where the animals themselves are the teachers. So let's do that. Let's ask them and see what they have to teach us about our own story. Okay, so we're going to start our tutorial with the creatures that you could say laid the literal groundwork for society. These are the ones who showed up first, providing the absolute fundamentals that allowed humanity not just scrape by, but to actually start building something. First up is the wild ox, and what's so incredible about this animal isn't just its raw power, but its unique built-in eagerness to do heavy work. Just think about that for a second. This creature practically wanted to help. It became the first engine of agriculture, plowing our fields, grinding grain, pulling water from wells. It was like a self-replicating tractor, a living fortress that could scare off predators, and a walking source of food and clothing. Amazing. And then you have the goat. Evidence suggests this was the very first animal we ever domesticated. And it's so easy to see why. The goat is basically a one-stop shop for all your farming needs, and it can live almost anywhere. And here's a cool modern twist on this ancient provision. Today, we use goats to create fire breaks. They go into these rugged areas where machines can't, and they just eat all the flammable stuff. How practical is that? Now, this is a perfect example of the kind of super specific, practical help these animals offered. The ostrich gave early humans a crucial piece of technology. Its eggshells are so unbelievably strong that a 200-pound person can stand on one and it won't break. So what does that mean for a hunter in a hot climate? It means you've got a tough, portable, quart-sized canteen. Having a few of these stashed along your hunting route was the key to survival. So we've seen the foundational providers, but this divine blueprint isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. The next few animals show us something really fascinating, a kind of paradoxical creativity in how they were designed and what they were for. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Look at the direct contrast here between the horse and the donkey. Biologically, they're so close they can even have babies together. But in their actual nature, their soulish attributes, they're polar opposites. The horse is brave, it's social, it's a symbol of war. The donkey? It's cautious, it looks out for number one, and it's a symbol of peace. This isn't just a random difference. It's like a showcase of two totally different but equally useful forms of service. And the lion, well, the lion presents an even deeper paradox. It's the king of beasts, right? A fearsome predator. But its role in the ecosystem is actually to make the herds it hunts stronger by taking out the sick and the weak. But then there's this other side. As we've seen in famous stories like Elsa from Born Free or Christian the Lion, these animals have an almost unbelievable capacity for deep, loving bonds with people. A predator that strengthens its prey and loves its human keepers? Wow. All right, our third section focuses on creatures that bring some highly specialized skills to the table. We're talking about an incredible display of intelligence and design that honestly feels almost supernatural. So let's consider the raven. Its intelligence is just off the charts. I mean, in some tests for problem-solving and using tools, it actually beats chimpanzees. Now, if you're looking at this from a purely evolutionary standpoint, that's a real head-scratcher. Birds and primates are on completely different branches of the tree, so how did the raven get so smart? And beyond its brain, it also acts as a crucial sanitation service, basically a cleanup crew for the waste that human settlements always produce. And talk about a specialized skill. The hawk and the eagle have eyesight that is 8 times more powerful than ours. They can see 5 basic colors, which lets them see right through an animal's camouflage. But here's the most amazing part. They've been known to willingly share their catch with their human partners. I mean, imagine you're trying to survive somewhere with sparse resources. Having a partner that can spot a rabbit from 2 miles away and then give it to you, that's a lifeline.
And finally, we have the deer. It doesn't offer us labor or tools. Instead, it offers a perfect balance of food and sport. It's the ideal game animal, right? It's a sustainable food source that's just elusive enough to make the hunt a real challenge, but it's also adaptable enough to live right on the edge of our own neighborhoods. It gives us food and it gives us a direct connection to the wild, right on our doorstep. So we've seen all these individual contributions, how these animals helped build civilization piece by piece. But now we get to the grand reveal, because one of these animals had a hidden planetary role that was so huge it literally prevented a global catastrophe. It all starts with scale. As humans domesticated the wild ox and turned them into cattle, their population just exploded. For thousands of years, the sheer biomass, that's the total weight, of domesticated cattle has been more than all other domesticated animals put together. And that wasn't just some interesting farming statistic. It had a massive consequence for the entire planet that we've only just figured out. So what was this hidden job? Well, the answer was literally found frozen in time. Scientists studying ice cores from Antarctica and Greenland, which give us this perfect record of our atmosphere's history, uncovered an incredible secret about what all those cattle actually accomplished. Okay, so check out this timeline. Based on the Earth's natural cycles, the next ice age was supposed to start around 7,000 years ago. But right when the planet was supposed to start cooling down, human activity kicked into high gear. First with deforestation, and then with a huge boom in cattle and rice farming. All those cattle produced enormous amounts of methane, which is a really potent greenhouse gas. This acted like a planetary thermostat, warming things up just enough to keep that cooling cycle from starting and allowing human civilization to keep moving forward. And that brings us to the final piece of our puzzle. This is the historical evidence that really solves the question we asked at the beginning. What is it that binds these 10 animals together? The answer lies right here, in this stark contrast. The animals on Job's list were all over Afro-Eurasia, which is where large-scale, complex civilizations developed. But on the continents where these key animals were missing, like the Americas and Australia, development was much, much more limited. It really seems like having this specific toolkit of animals was one of the deciding factors in all of human history. And that's what ties them all together. They're not a random list. They're a hall of fame. Each one gave us a critical piece of the puzzle, from labor and food to technology, companionship, and even regulating the climate. Without them, the world we live in today would be completely unrecognizable. So we end right where we started, with a question. You have a series of animals with the perfect traits, a global thermostat that kicks in at exactly the right moment, and a clear historical line between where they lived and where we thrived. Could all of that be just a grand series of lucky accidents? Or, as the author of Job seems to suggest, does it point to something more? To a plan? That is the question these animals teach us to ask.